Hello and welcome to RPG Research. I'm your host, Hawk Robinson, president and founder of RPG Research, and this is our weekly administrative meeting for the 501c3 nonprofit RPG Research, studying the effects of all role-playing game formats and their potential to help improve lives. Joining us today, Nicholas, be careful as you walk through the green screen there, not to bump the green screen. Because it bumped the camera, now the camera's jumped back down. Unfortunately, it just dropped. If you can you reach it? Yeah, just leave it. We'll just not worry about it. They don't need to see my ugly mug anyway. I mean, the audience can see it anyway. Brooke doesn't need to see it anyway. Seen enough of it already. Okay. Anyway, so it's our normal weekly administrative meeting. It's when we talk about our upcoming schedule of what we're doing and take care of various administrative stuff. So it may be of interest to the general public because we talk about what we're going to be doing. Joining today, we also have
John Wilker, Vice President of RPG Research and co-chair of SPOCON. Just like to throw that in.
Sure.
And Daniel Ivey, volunteer, artist, and GM training.
Which we're going to be talking about that as well today. Mm-hmm. And joining us remotely over Jitsi, we have
Park Lagley, Vice Chair of the Board and operational person.
Operations, volunteer coordinator, just all in all saving our bacon each week.
A little bit of everything.
A little bit of everything, that's right. Danielle Whitworth is not joining today because she's still gone for the holiday. Mm-hmm. Shane said he might be showing up sometime today.
That'd be good.
Maybe. We'll see.
Is he here for the theoretical or the gaming? You must think it's gaming.
Probably. I don't know. We will see. And then in the background, you're going to be hearing some noise as Nicholas, who is our systems administrator, trainee, been mentoring him, has been doing a wonderful job overhauling the server room here in my house. I do actually have my own server room. It's a small space, but it is a full-blown server room, and it has been turned into a disaster over the years. And he, over the last few weeks, has been gutting it and getting it all cleaned up so he can use it as a workspace. And we got the server rack cleaned up and the network cabling running cleaner. But a lot of that stuff is out here in the studio now, which some of you can probably see in the camera. There's a huge pile of crap that I have to go through. Only I can make the decision of throw away, not throw away, or move it somewhere else. I'll just give it away. It's not worth selling. It's either keep and reassign it somewhere, throw it away, or give it to charity. That's pretty much where most of this stuff ends up. But making great progress. That server room is now so much better, and that'll make his life better as he learns how to work in all the systems. I can't tell you how excited I am to finally have somebody else helping with the tech after all this time. It's a huge relief. I've mentored a lot of people into tech careers who've gone off to be very successful, go make six-digit careers and six-digit incomes and such. But I haven't had I've pretty much taken them under as an apprentice for the next year or so. I haven't done that in a long time. And so it's nice to have. Now, of course, that means as an apprentice, you have to do all the grunt work of just cleaning the server room. It's part of earning your stripes, and he's been really great attitude, doing a good job.
Yeah,
and getting
worth double.
What's that?
The hours should be worth double.
Yes. Well, as a volunteer, you bet. He can multiply as many times as he wants.
For stripe advancement.
Well, stripe, I see. But he is now learning some really old equipment. He's like, is this right? Is this RAM under a gig? I'm like, yes, yeah. It is only half a gig of RAM. I have computers here who only have 8 megabytes of RAM and are running. So actually, my Amiga, I think, only has 4 megabytes RAM. It might be 8. I forget how much I upgraded it.
I was shocked when the first computer with a gigabyte came out.
Oh, yeah.
What are you going to do with all this?
Oh, yeah. Famous last words. So anyway, so that's going on. We've got a lot of stuff going on. So let's go ahead and get through the meeting stuff. Brooke, did you get the link to the meeting agenda?
I did.
Okay. So you want to go ahead and lead with what you have that you want to cover, and then we'll go through the rest as needed.
The only thing I really wanted to talk about was Friday in
Yes.
particular.
Great.
And just get that plan solidified.
That sounds like a good idea to me.
As a reminder to everybody. 5:30 to 7:30, correct, at Sky Prairie Park?
Yeah. 5:30 to 7:30 is like when we want everybody there. I'm going to be shooting and videoing as much as possible. The goal is, I have a long list. Let's see, let me pull up my list here. And I don't know how much we'll really pull off, but I'm going to try to shoot scenes of all of the following. So if people want to see a variety of what we do, like quick little vignettes of all the different programs that we do, this is a great day to come up and check it out. Friday, May 31st, 5:30, 7:30 p.m. at Sky Prairie Park on 5 Mile Prairie in Spokane, Washington. So we'll quickly try to get, a general everyone group shot without anything behind them, just the park space, whatever. Then a group shot with the fleet kind of in the background, the bus, the trailer, the SUV. Then a few shots with everybody around them, like with, around the trailer, around the bus, things like that, just so we have a variety of different shots to work. Because the whole point of this is that we need some stock photos and such and video footage that we can use that we have releases for, because we work with so many protected populations. Right. We can't show people most of the photos and video that we have of what we do. And that's been kind of hurting us in the fundraising sector, because a lot of people say, well, we want to see what you do. And they're like, well, these are protected populations, and most of them, either they or their parents don't want to sign releases, and we have to respect that. I can show you pixelated faces versions, but they want to see the smiling faces and all of that. So this is just meant to help, at least with the brochures and the website and things like that, and our video clips and training as well, to at least have some good stock footage of the many things that we do. So we're going to have, the tabletop games in the bus, in the trailer, and outside the bus and the trailer, because we run them on tables around there as well. We're going to have some of them pretending to do sign language and such, because I've worked with the ASL, the deaf community and the ASL groups, wide range of populations that we work with in age and ethnicity and gender and all of that. We'll have them, when they're around the tables, kind of different shots. We want them, with happy faces, and then with intense faces, and rolling dice, and pointing at miniatures, and all the different little things that kind of show the tabletop role-playing game in motion. Because tabletop role-playing gaming isn't exactly a physically high action activity. If you watch a video of it, it's not really super dramatic, unless you enhance it through dramatic techniques. There's not a lot. So, but we want to at least get the few moments of action that do happen and try to capture those both in photo and video. And then have them laughing and smiling at each other, then cheering, fists in the air because of the victory, like, yeah, we got it, right? You see that happen. High-fiving, fist bump, whatever today is the correct thing for that. Whatever it is, I don't even know anymore. And then I'm going to be bringing all of the ERPG stuff, the electronic role-playing game stuff. So I'll be bringing both of our VR headsets, the HTC Vive and the Lenovo, and our AR, the Star Wars AR. So if people want to get to try that out, we'll be showing that. We'll have Neverwinter Nights running on as many laptops as will function, and have that up and running. Also on at least one of the smartphones, because it's available now on Android as well. So we're going to have all those with them all playing Neverwinter Nights, because Neverwinter Nights we can create the custom modules. And it has the custom tool sets to work with the different populations that we work with, and also we want to do more research with. And then the LARP, where there's different LARPs. We'll be showing the boffer battle with the boffers, and we don't really have the shields and such, but different boffer equipment. And then without the boffer equipment, in costume and out of costume. I've got a bunch of loner garb. They're just simple tunics and such, but they'll do the job. And because LARP comes in many different flavors, and we want to quickly demonstrate that visually. And then finally, we'll probably wrap up with the open music jam and then drum circle at the end there, I think, is probably the way to do that, because that's all part of what we do. Now, we usually do it the other way. We usually start with like a drum circle to show people cooperative activities and then lead them into the role-playing gaming from there. And so that's kind of what I'm thinking as far as trying to shoot all those different scenes. It's going to be tricky to compress it in that much time. So it'll be go, go, go. What I'll probably have to have, like John and the rest of you do, is for the smaller groups, like the role-playing and stuff, is have you working on setting up the next one while I'm shooting the other. So while I'm shooting in the bus, you're getting everybody ready in the trailer. And then when I'm shooting the trailer, you're getting ready for the next scene and the next scene. So between you and Danielle, Dan, anybody who can help.
So we'll have a scene list.
What's that?
We'll have a scene list.
Yeah, well, that's pretty much what I have written out here.
Okay.
Is
I did not get that email, by the way.
To the volunteer list, the calendar, the.
No, I got the calendar list.
I mean the document.
Right.
The meeting.
Yeah, no, yeah. The ones I have is for the 20th, and it says Laura Ipsum.
Brooke, did you not get it, Brooke? Did you get it?
No, I got the one for the 27th for today. The meeting notes.
That went to the main email list. I didn't send separately.
Did you send as RPG Research, John at RPG Research on the main list, or is
it went to RPG Volunteers at googlegroups.com, and you're on multiple accounts on there, unless you've deleted yourself.
I haven't deleted myself from anything, but when I look at this on webmail, and I see
arrived 8 hours ago.
So is it? So maybe the email server has been acting up the way GoDaddy's been so crappy.
I'm just glad I wasn't fired and nobody told me.
Indeed.
My red stapler.
There's Shane's emails.
Yeah.
Well, that's annoying. Why haven't you gotten that? God, this is why we got to get the other email server working, because GoDaddy's email has been way too unreliable. You have a question, Nicholas?
I was just going to let you know that I'm going to leave for a bit.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, of course. You do what you...
If you want an update on listening to them.
Yeah, go ahead quickly.
VA Linux is like dumping like instructions and like ESP error. Like,
so is it a kernel dump?
No, it's like there's something wrong with like the instructions on the CPU. Like I think it's CPU level problem.
So is this during the diagnostic phase or just while it's trying to boot up?
Trying to boot up
the software.
VA Linux.
Yeah, there was a trick to that. I remember now there was a trick to it, and maybe we just need to use a different version, maybe that software, because now that you say that, it's only been 20 years, 18 years. The moment you said that, oh yeah, that's right, there was a problem with that booting up, that we had to do some trick to it. So I'll just find a different disk and we'll use something else. Okay. So don't worry. Yeah, go eat, take care of yourself, man, and come on back down when you're ready. Thanks a lot for everything. All right. Let me, I'll go ahead and paste, let's see, action items. Is that where I should put that? Yeah. Well, no, action items is a quick, so probably notes is where I want to put this. So, scene list for shooting.
You've been on RPGSN today?
Not recently.
It should be back up. It was down last night because of the network, but it should be back up.
It was down when I tried to go on to it earlier today.
Uh-oh. Nicholas? No, it's back up. It was down until Nicholas got here this afternoon.
Okay, so that was probably
but it is back up.
After
it is back up now. Yeah, probably. Yeah, we got it back up as soon as he got here, probably about 2:30.
Okay.
Okay, so I just pasted in that document. Boy, I don't know why. I'll go ahead and send it to you directly, John. The RPG Research email. Send it to you. Oh, no, never mind. Okay, there it is. All right. So I've resent it to your at RPG Research email. See if you get it.
You refresh this and see.
So what else did you need to know? I was planning to have some pizza and beverages delivered. So we'll need to, I'm going to need help. If anybody can help me either Thursday night or Friday morning, load up the trailer with a lot of the stuff I need to take. I mean, I'll try to do it through this week, but for example, I want to bring as many of our Costco tables as possible. I've got half a dozen of those tables and as many of our chairs as we can gather up as far as the, I don't want to mess with the studio, but all the other folding chairs and such,
right.
want to load up into the trailer so that we can have all that laid out. And then same thing when we have the pizza, we'll have a table with all the food and stuff that people need so that everybody's fed.
I'm hoping at least one person in a wheelchair shows up, but who knows?
Yeah, I mean, I can bring our prop wheelchair, but
yeah, it's bad enough we're staging people. The stage somebody in a wheelchair that doesn't belong there could get us in trouble.
No, it doesn't. That's done all the time for commercial purposes, all the time on brochures and everything else. That is not an issue, unless you're doing it in some inappropriate way. But like showing somebody going in and out of a vehicle, that's done all the time to demonstrate products with people who are not in wheelchairs. It's great if you have somebody who is, but for standard media kits and such, that's not necessary. But yeah, it'd be great if the community we worked with, but again, as I said, most community we work with doesn't want to be on public camera and video and all of that. So that's why we have to do this representative shoot, because people keep asking for this, right? And so we got to do it. So, but really important, we need a minimum of 20 people, and we're hopefully can get up around 30, 40. That's mostly for the LARP and the group music. For the tabletop stuff, we don't need that many. We only need a dozen or so, but it'd be nice to have the variety of faces to shoot a whole variety, so each table has a nice range. Did you get that yet?
Nope, it hasn't shown up yet.
Oh my
I
goodness.
just finished refreshing it again.
Lovely.
Nobody loves me.
Thank you, GoDaddy. Yeah, that's why we're moving everything off of GoDaddy. It's just been way too unreliable. All of their DNS has been okay. Everything else has been totally unreliable. All right. Did you have further questions on that, Brooke? Does that?
No, I just wanted to make sure we talked about that.
Yeah.
Just reminder to everybody as how
everybody.
important that is. And...
Dan, you'll be showing up.
I'm going to try to.
Please,
The only thing that's going to be stopping me is a court hearing.
Don't go to court.
Disability for my life.
That's Friday?
Yeah.
Oh, of course it is. Okay, well, good luck with that.
And it's a new national
But
holiday.
late is better. Late is better than not at all. So
Yeah.
just we'll be keeping it going. So, all right. Yeah, and if anybody can bring snacks and extra drinks, that'll be great too. I'm planning to just do a Domino's delivery. I'll kind of wait. Like I'll have the order kind of ready to go, but then change the multiples when I see how many people actually show up. Because I've had a tendency to over-order stuff. I've ordered $300 worth of pizza before, and we've only had 15 people show up. So
I can bring bottled water.
okay, that's great. Yep, that'd be great. Everything will help because hopefully the weather won't be lousy. Right, we have no idea how the weather's going to be. It's May and June, and there's a lot of changeable weather here.
So
But we'll do the best we can.
to eat $20 worth of pizza.
That's what it's heavy. Oh.
All right. Next, was there anything else, Brooke, that you had on yours?
No, I did have a question, which is kind
Please.
of layered into like the new hire
Yes.
checklist that you had listed on there.
Okay.
John, you sent out an email about, is it Dina Linkover?
Yeah, Dina joined us yesterday in a meeting.
Good.
Okay.
I had no idea who this person was. So I winged it and said, okay, welcome, and great, terrific. I had no idea who this was.
I thought I'd forward you on those emails.
I don't know. I didn't see
Okay.
anything that said she's hired or anything like
Yeah.
that.
She's
Yeah.
she's number 60 something.
So, yeah, I think 65. Do I need to send the new hire paperwork?
Yes, please.
Okay.
Yeah, so you always send Brooke when you hire somebody, send her an email that says, please send a new packet. Okay, so here's the only thing. Does she have an email address yet?
No, that's
Okay.
something you have to do. I don't know how to do that.
Okay. Well, eventually, it's soon here. It'll be Nicholas. So we have. So let's go over this. Our list of new hire status, etc. We also have the new hire of Raphael. So he's a GM trainee. He was just passing through town this week, and met with us in person. In addition to interviewing him by the phone with John in advance. But he's out of Colorado, I think. Is that where he's from? He said he was coming and going back to Colorado, so I was assuming
I
that.
thought he was further East Coast.
It could be, I don't know.
Yeah, he's further East Coast.
So anyway, he's onboarding. But Nicholas, who's the tech person here, I wanted to make sure we go ahead and fast track his background check so I can start giving him admin access to the servers.
Yep, I already sent that invitation.
Wonderful, thank you. I'll let him know to check for that. Because then what you'll do is every time you hire somebody new, you will send it to Nicholas, and he will go through the checklist of creating accounts. And then once the account's created, he then will fire an email to Brooke to go ahead and send the welcome packet to that email address. And then we'll actually have the whole process working without me having to be the slowdown in the middle.
Did she schedule her premiere game?
Dina?
Her baseline? Yeah.
No.
Okay.
She showed up Sunday in Jitsi not really knowing what to do. And so she joined us in our theory discussion.
Right. I told her it was going to be a theory day.
Yeah. Okay. So, yeah. Yeah. And she said she learned a lot, and I kept getting her to interject and comment. And so she did. She was very shy at first, but then slowly loosened up, his usual process.
Yep.
So, yeah. So people are joining left and right. We now have multiple PhDs on the research side. PhD candidates and full PhDs, so the research team is really growing nicely. A lot of them are really tied up right now with end of school year finals and such as that, but they're starting to wrap up, and so we'll see a lot more activity going on there. Tech to-do list, I've got a big long list that Nicholas and I are going through. The first part was kind of overhauling the server room so he could use that space. And then we're going to be really improving our infrastructure. One of the early things is getting the email off of GoDaddy and move to our own servers, because GoDaddy's email has just been way too flaky. First we move the email, then the webmail, all of that. All of that we're going to be moving here shortly. So that is underway. We will have to talk offline. I think I sent John, Brooke, and Danielle an email about a conversation I had with Spark Central. We will have, since that is kind of HR related stuff, we're not going to discuss that on the air. We will discuss that privately. But my question is, from the question in that email, which do you prefer? Do you prefer that we do it in the way I proposed of the group thing, or the individual one-on-one?
Well,
and my recommendation is not do it till next week,
right,
at the earliest.
Theoretically, or public versus private, and this degree is more private, and at the most, I think you would be 2 people. There's always
but what about just having it as part of the performance review? That's what I was saying is,
right,
if it's more part of the performance review, do you think that's going to be?
We have not established a performance review,
because I wouldn't want this person to just quit, because the person has lots of potential but needs more training. And my concern, I'm trying to figure out which way is the least likely to have the person just want to bail and be willing to stick it out and keep learning and not stop learning. And I'm trying to figure out whether doing it as a group is part of just our normal process.
If we establish that that is our normal,
right. Well, that's what I was suggesting doing starting next week. Is we've got a lot of backlog of performance reviews we need to do. Right. We've got a bunch of people who've been around for months who haven't had a performance review the whole time, and we're going to get to that in the next topic as far as, and I'm proposing overhauling the tiers. So, and that's directly related. So I was proposing that we do that starting next week, that we start scheduling everybody who is due for a performance review and go ahead and start scheduling that, which that would be a group thing. That would be, you, Danielle, and I at the least, and then whether or not Brooke wants to sit on those or not, that's up to her. How far she wants to take the volunteer coordinator role on that side. But that we would be there giving the feedback. I've been working on the checklist of all the feedback we would give on the review, and get you the forms, and we'd fill them out and go through the normal kind of employee type, but it's volunteer type feedback. And then part of it is just to say, okay, where are you at on your training and everything, and how can we help? Are you on track? Are you ahead of track? Right. Behind track? How do we keep you on track? Just checking in and making sure we're getting this, because we've been, because we don't have all the administrative stuff in place. This is an area we've been very lacking, and we've been doing the laissez-faire best as we can. And I think we're starting to slip some people because of that, because they're not getting the feedback to show progress and such.
long as we can make anything that might be considered a negative review not come across or feel like that a person is being ganged up on.
That's the thing, is I don't want it to seem like a personal attack, because it's not. It's meant to be constructive feedback. But we've had a client specifically ask that we can no longer use the person in the role we've been using, but is still welcome there in other roles.
Right. So
that we have to address that, right? We can't put that off, because the next Spark Central session will be Friday of next week. So it has to be before then.
As long as we make it clear that all performance reviews will be a group activity, and that even a negative performance review is not a "we don't like you, we don't want you here."
Yeah, exactly.
This is all constructive, and we're going to build. That
is the goal, and that's the way I'm trying to gear the performance review. Is it's meant to be feedback to help a person along, to achieving their goals, and making sure they feel like they're getting the support they need to get to those goals. Because it might be we've let them down in certain areas. Everything's a mess, and it's hard to find stuff, and everything's in flux and changing. So that can definitely be frustrating. So it's a chance to have that as a dialogue, not a monologue. Brooke, do you have comments on this?
I think it would be a little suspicious to start implementing performance reviews and bring that up because to me that reads as like a complete trigger as to why we're implementing this.
Well, we've been needing. This is why I'm working. Yeah, I've been working on the operations manual so that we can do this. That has been why I'm working on it. So you're saying it should be a separate meeting rather than part of it?
If I was that person, I feel like I would be like, I think that would hit me a little harder than just, hey, we need to talk to you. We received some feedback and we just want to touch base.
Okay.
I feel like if it was scheduled as like a formal performance review, that's like a.
Okay.
I'm just trying to figure out. Citation showing up.
Yeah, I'm trying to figure out the best way to handle it. So you think just a one-on-one aside would be the better way for that part, while we go ahead and schedule the performance reviews.
Yeah, maybe if you and John, just because sometimes having two people is better than just one-on-one for protection reasons for everyone involved.
Okay.
To make sure that there's like a similar understanding of the situation.
Okay.
And I think that would just be like, hey, we got some feedback. We just wanted to talk to you about this. And
okay.
All
right, well, let's do that. I still do want to get in the next week or two performance reviews underway. Mm-hmm. That is a goal. We have a number of game masters and other volunteers who are overdue for such a review. John, the most of which, because he's the longest running here. So, all right.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll go ahead and approach it that way then. Thank you, Brooke.
Yeah. Because this is like the first time I remember hearing about the performance reviews, and so it just feels very correlated.
I've brought it up from time to time that I wanted to do it, but I haven't been this close to being able to do it. Because I've been working on these ops manuals. I've been working. Oh boy, have I been working. So we're making good progress towards getting a lot of this administrative stuff becoming, a consistent thing. So, speaking of which, unless you want to continue on that topic, I'm proposing a refresh, reset, whatever, of how we handled the game tiers and game tier training. And what happens is when I first started, it was meant to be, as per neurosciences of learning, an inverted pyramid where you start light and get deeper and deeper and more complicated as you go. But over time, it keeps getting loaded up and has become, at the very best, a rectangle, but really it's become a pyramid where I've made tier 1 just too overloaded, I think, for tier 1.
Okay.
So, because I've gone back and forth between making tier 1 a really good, solid foundation, which would be a pyramid approach, versus the neuroscience of learning, an introduction, and then building on it from there, going deeper, which is an inverted pyramid.
Right.
And I keep going back and forth, so that's why it's kind of ended up this way. I went this way, then I went this way, then I went this way, and now it's this way.
It's a multiple arrow glass.
And this isn't always the wrong way to do it, but I'm really thinking about a significant overhaul. So I created on the RPG Research website, you have to be logged in as staff, and if you want to find it, you can just in the search box once you're logged in, type in tiers and scroll down. And am I not logged in? I'm not logged in. My session expired. Like, it's not there. Where'd it go? But once you're logged in and you type in tiers, TIERS, not TARS.
Don't cry.
There's game offering tiers. It's number 7. And I'm conflating it with training, but this is what I'm relating it to. And so what I'm proposing is making a level 1 Game Master trainee a lot easier to achieve level 1 completion. Then level 2 gets deeper, and then level 3 gets even deeper, etc. And here's the thing. You know how I've been ranting a lot lately about the BECME versus all the other starter sets and how they front-end load too many of the rules. Well, I need to eat my own dog food, gosh darn it.
I think you're right in doing that.
Well,
because I think right now, also with this ties into the reviews and stuff.
Yes, exactly.
Right now, I think that 90% of us believe we're still tier 1.
And really, I see you and Danielle as at least tier 2. We just haven't formalized it properly.
Right.
And Dan, not far from that
and
either.
The color codes don't help because we know that's just purely ours.
Right. Yeah, exactly. And you notice that now we've got the color codes in there. So here's what I'm proposing. If you can... Yeah. So tier 1, here's what I'm proposing changing the requirements for tier 1 to be. And I'm following literally the BECME model, not just figuratively. So tier 1 requirement for games would be No Thank You Evil, the core box set, adventure number 1, Dragon Snot Falls, and then 2 other adventures. So you got 3 adventures under your belt. It's easy with No Thank You Evil.
Incredibly.
BECME basic D&D or basic fantasy RPG. So there's a community version that tries to replicate basic D&D as basic fantasy RPG. I have a version of it. I have the PDF forever. I have a version of it arriving for us to evaluate. So we can go.
Is it legal?
Yeah, you buy it on Amazon. They've been publishing for years. They have lots of content. It's under SRD type stuff. It's how all the old school rules have been done. It's based on the old school rules approach, but it's focusing on the BECME style of old school rules rather than the AD&D side of old school rules. So one of the two, either basic D&D or basic fantasy RPG, but they're the same thing. The whole point is the Frank Metzer book that you need to learn that, the levels 1 through 3. But that's it, just the basic level, not expert, companion, master, immortals. At level 1, you only need to learn basic. And then the introductory set only of D&D 5e, the starter set, whichever starter set we may change our mind. Currently, that's the one with the Lost Mine of Phandelver. The new one coming out might be what we change it to. But whatever the intro starter set is for D&D 5th edition, that you need to learn that. So that's it for the tabletop requirements, instead of all the others. And then you will also have one Salon LARP, the Hirelings. So you get the basic introduction to LARP.
Okay.
And it's an easy one you can do anywhere. No costumes, no buffers, etc. The basics of Neverwinter Nights Enhanced Edition, just being able to, run through and play it, not fully DMing it yet, just you've got the basics down of it.
You can be a player.
You know how to, that you can set up and host it to play with your friends and all of that.
Okay.
In the multiplayer controlled way that you can pick the module and all of that. So you're not doing all the DM client and all that yet, but you're about to be able to, you've set everything up that you can do that.
Okay.
So it's not just being able to play it, it's a little bit more. Because then otherwise it's not that big a deal. And then that they can do, that they've played through at least one SABM outside of the basic D&D one, like one of the other books, and be able to facilitate that with at least one other person. So they've got each of the 4 formats there, right? The hybrid, the electronic, the LRPG, and then the tabletop RPG. And that's it for level 1. So you and Danielle, we could quickly get these others wrapped up off your checklist very quickly.
I just need the LARP.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, exactly. Because you missed that when I ran that, didn't you?
Yep.
Yeah, so we've got to do that soon. So So that would be tier 1. So then tier 2, we go to the expert level. And by the way, I also decided I was suggesting other names. So tier 1 is a GM trainee. You're always a trainee when you're training, but as far as that's the title, you get your level 1 GM trainee diploma. Tier 2 is novice GM. So when you get your diploma, you have your tier 2 novice GM diploma when that's finished. So tier 2 is expert level, basic D&D, BECME expert. Right. You need to learn. So in the tier 1, you needed to learn, play through the 3 intro adventures that are built into the game. Run the 1 DM game, the DM game that's in the rules that you run that through. Read and know the B1 rules and tips at the last page of Into the Unknown. And then adventure number 5, because that's 4 adventures, learn B2 Keep on the Borderlands, because that's a good back and forth basic. You're able to go in and out of there and have a lot, that can play for quite a while. And you've got a good foundation there to run a lot of games for a lot of people, introductory, and not run out of stuff to run very quickly. So that was, again, tier 1. So tier 2, now you're at expert level, and you would learn the expert rules, learn X1 Isle of Dread, which is a good multi-session but not really campaign. It's shorter, but you can make it a campaign, but it's not really geared that way. Yes.
I'm going to actually run that for my 5th edition group. I'm going to do Secret of Salt Marsh and then into
cool.
Isle of Dread.
Cool. And then also a campaign, B12 Night's Dark Terror, because that really is a campaign at the expert level. Now you've got 2 really good adventures that you can pick from to run as a GM tier 2 that can give you fewer or many sessions as you want. They're flexible. So that's for BECME. Now you get introduced to Tor. You get introduced to a different system. Right, you only learn No Thank You Evil, BECME, and 5th edition at tier 1. Tier 2, you're going to learn more systems, because again, that triangle should be going wider. So BECME, then at expert level, Tor, and you need to be able to run the Marsh Bell, or if they come out with a better introductory one for it, we'll pick that. But that's the introductory adventure.
I'm working on that one right now.
That's 1 to 3 sessions, depending on how you run it. D&D 5th edition, now you're adding the full version of D&D 5th edition, right? Before it was just an introductory box set.
Right.
Now you need to be able to run the full version. And the adventure number 2 tentatively is Sinister Secret of Saltmarsh campaign. So initially we need to see if we can run a one-shot initially, right, from it, and then the rest of the campaign for it. And that's it for 5th edition as far as requirements. AIM, now that you've learned Tor and you've learned 5th edition, you can now learn AIM, because that's the hybrid of the 2. And then that gives you the Middle Earth path and the better behavior modification than is available in 5th edition if you don't want to stay on the full Tor thing. And then that's just Eves of Mirkwood.
Okay.
So AIM, Eves of Mirkwood. And then pending evaluation, maybe Star Trek Adventures. Still kind of going back and forth on the Doctor Who thing, because we're having trouble with some of the modules being good prepared introductory modules. Are not quite resonating as well as I would have hoped with some of these populations. So looking at these, but a sci-fi game, right?
Right.
A sci-fi game. And then Introduction to Call of Cthulhu 7th edition. Just
at second?
This is at second. Okay. This is at tier, because the point is to expose you to a variety of different systems at the beginner level. You're not an absolute beginner anymore. You're a novice, right? Mm-hmm. So you're getting a little bit of smattering of different systems. 7th edition is BRP, right? So you're gonna have the D20 system. You're gonna have either Star Trek or Doctor Who or something like that system, which is its own system. You're gonna have Cthulhu, which is BRP system, which is good to know, and it's just the starter set type stuff. It's not a lot. It's just learning the basics of it. And then the superhero system, right? Whatever superhero system, we lock in on that with just a basic introduction. And again, these are going to be just very introductory levels, but at least they'll be now exposed that, hey, there's a lot more out there than just D20. And they get a little smattering of that, of each. And now they're very flexible. When you get that diploma, you've got the flexibility, but at least now you're not having to go through all of that at level 1, which is basically all this was at level 1 except for Cthulhu. Mm-hmm. So now I've kind of broken that into like, no, let's push that to level 2. And you and Danielle are almost done with that level 2 requirements. On the LRPG, I don't have it nailed down, but basically a second adventure for the LARP. For the ERPG, it's going to be the Neverwinter Nights with the DM client. Create your own basic module. It's going to be that more advanced stuff. It's not going to be deep, but just the basics of that next level with Neverwinter Nights. Now you can run the DM client. Now you have the basics of making a simple modified module, nothing too complicated. And then on the HRPG side, I haven't really nailed that down, but you get the idea. And then that's it. You go through. You got to do it in the lab. You got to do it in the supervised wild, and then observed, but unsupervised wild, as needed for some of these. That's not needed, and that's level 2. Level 3. Now you're at the companion level or GM apprentice, right? And this is getting into like the blue collar workers where you have apprentice, journeyman, journey person, and master. That's where you're coming in an apprentice here. So you've gotten some earlier training and such. You don't come in an apprenticeship without some prior training.
Usually.
In these other professions.
Yeah.
You don't get an apprenticeship if you don't have prior training. So being tier 3, that's about the right level. You've got a smattering of all this training. You're not coming in completely ignorant and from scratch. And so this is at the companion level. This is where you're building dominions and all these other things. And so one of those CM 1 or 2 or 3, whatever, one of those adventures, got to know the CM, one adventure from CM. Tor, now you've got to know the campaign Darkening of Mirkwood, and you're going to start writing your first one-shot introductory adventure that'll go through evaluation and needs to pass evaluation. So you got to learn a little bit of writing. That's Tor.
That's Tor. Write a module for Tor.
Yeah, which is actually pretty easy to write for. It's not mechanic heavy. D&D is more mechanic heavy for writing modules.
Worried about the lore than the mechanics.
But yeah, the concepts all apply. You don't have to be like me about the lore. To write a one shot for Tor, you don't have to be at the level I'm at. And then also 5th edition, we would go deeper on the campaign side. So Sinister Cedar Saltmarsh, we're probably going to say a one shot plus a multi-session and leave it there. And at this one, we say the rest of the Saltmarsh campaign, if that's what we want to go with, right? But that you're going to have that full amount. And that you need to be able also, for 5th edition, write a one-shot introductory adventure as well for Tier 3. So the point of Tier 3 is now you're starting to create a little bit of original content. Not too much, but a little more. And then same thing with AIM, the same thing. Because again, that triangle is getting wider as you go here. And we would add some additional new systems as well. A steampunk system, probably GURPS or some other, depending upon what we evaluate. A cyberpunk system, GURPS, Shadowrun, or another. An Old West system, either the BRP, GURPS, or another. And Star Wars, either the D6 or the FFG, because D6 has been getting republished and such.
Yay!
I don't know. I have to check the legitimacy of it. I saw somebody republishing it, but I don't know if it's legit.
Got it.
But it might be FFG is republishing it if I read it correctly. Like they've made the old version available, if I read it correctly. Nice. That would be. I like the D6 version better. That's much more adaptable for one-shots than the new version.
Yeah.
So...
and you don't have to learn a new language.
Exactly. And reading the dice. And so now you've got now look at how broad you are across tabletop systems. You got all this experience. At the end of apprenticeship, you're supposed to be pretty competent at the end of apprenticeship, so that when you finish your apprenticeship and you go to journeyman, you're supposed to be able to work mostly unsupervised, right? Just with occasional supervision. So apprenticeship, you're still learning a lot of new stuff. You're going to have a lot of supervision, but you're working towards more independence. So with the LARP, you will learn yet another LARP. We'll probably get more into the combat LARP and stuff like that. And with the ERPG, now you will do a full adventure module in Neverwinter Nights. It doesn't have to be a campaign, but it needs to be a full session. Like before we were talking, you just made a square, fill it in, and make some basic stuff. Now we're talking, no, this needs to last, whatever we consider appropriate duration.
2 hours.
Yeah, for a full adventure for a group to go through. So that's at this stage. And then whatever the hybrid RPG is that we decide is appropriate at this level. And then that signs off for Tier 3. Then we've got Tier 4, which now you're at the Master's level. And this is a GM journeyman or journey person, however you want to phrase it. So you're learning that level of BECMI. With Tor, you are really going deep with the campaign setting, right? You've got to really have it down. Before it was that you just need to have the basics. Now you got to really have it down. And you now have to write your own, and that's for each of these 3 systems, you write your own 3 to 5 session, multi-session adventure. Not a full campaign yet, but a 3 to 5 part adventure.
Trilogy.
Yeah. Same thing with D&D 5th edition. Now the campaign that you're running from published or whatever is a sandbox campaign, right? Before it was a little more contained. Now you have to know the setting well enough that you're running that you can run a sandbox campaign. That we can wreak havoc with them and they can still recuperate from it to keep it going. And be able to write your own multi-session adventure. Same thing with AIM. So all those, Tor, D&D 5th edition, and AIM, you got to be able to write sessions for each of those.
Now, is it fair to write the same module but change the systems?
I think so. I would be inclined to say yes, that you're able to write the same adventure for those 3. You'll have to tweak. So the Tor and AIM ones, I would say definitely. That you can just talk the language of the 2 is fine by me. And the 5th edition one, if you want to have the same storyline, but you just change it for the setting, I wouldn't have a problem with that. The point is that you can write it for each setting effectively. I'm not as picky that you got to come with 3 completely different storylines for this. The whole point is just that you're good at this basic level. Is my tendency. If you think it should be tougher than that, I'm also willing to go tougher. What I've been trying to do is back off. I feel like I made it too tough, and I'm trying to back it off a little bit.
I don't think, because it's going to be hard enough to write one creative writing story.
Sure.
Just a story without the systems involved.
Right.
So I think only having to write 1 or 2 stories, then adapting them to the different...
Yeah, that's my inclination at this level. At tier 4, that's my inclination.
Yeah.
Dan, do you have any comments on this so far?
Sounds pretty good.
Is this?
I was just thinking that converting from Tor to 5th edition, color Hobbit, scratch out halflings.
Well, it's all it is exactly that. But no, AIM has the right to call them Hobbit, so
right.
You don't even have to change that. Oh yeah, as far as right, yes. Now, Brooke, I know this is getting way too more into the role-playing gaming stuff than you're usually interested in, but do you get the general idea of what I'm trying to do here differently?
Yeah.
What do you think?
Reasonable.
What's that?
Seems progressive. It seems reasonable. Seems progressive and attainable.
Okay. So that's level 4. So then tier 5 is GM Adept, and because it's a level of independence before full mastery, but you're considered to be adept at something. You're not the full master. You're beyond. You've moved beyond journey person,
right? To
you're quite adept now, but you're not quite a master yet. You're in between journeyman and master.
First and black belt.
Yeah, something like that. Depending upon the system and the sensei and Sifu and all of that. Oh, I forgot. Okay, so at level 4, because we jumped ahead a little bit, also includes paranoia, introduction to paranoia. I think it's a good time to bring that in, because that requires a little more GMing advanced skills to handle. But also, paranoia is also a fun game, and it's a completely different system, and so I think and it's a different play style, so I think it's a good level to bring that in at the level 4. Not too soon, but also not too late, I would think. And all you gotta be able to do is just run one adventure of paranoia with that, just so at least you have that down. Then we can go to level 5. So now you gotta be adept. So this is, in Beckme terms, the Immortals level. It's not our highest level, but it's the highest level for, Beckme actually, Immortals goes to, so you go to 36 level, and then you try to become an Immortal, and then you have 36 levels of immortality, and then you try to become a deity.
Oh.
Yeah. Beckme did, but they don't offer a system for that, so it just goes to the Immortals level. So anyway, so Beckme, you do an Immortals level adventure campaign, which is a whole other. It's a different system. It's a whole other style of play. So it's really, it's D&D, but it's become this whole other system. You now need to be able to run Tor in a sandbox campaign. So you got to know Middle Earth well enough and the Tor system well enough to run it in a sandbox. And also, I'm not pushing AIM and D&D anymore because you've got that down now pretty well, right? Now I'm introducing you to Rollmaster.
Okay.
Because that's a very advanced system. And Vampire / World of Darkness. And a Cortex system one, whether it's Serenity, Firefly, whatever, I don't care, but one of the Cortex systems from Margaret Weiss, which is the other end of the spectrum, right? It's the opposite end of Rollmaster.
Right.
Cortex is very light. So now you're getting this whole other range of role-playing games that really you wouldn't appreciate, maybe you shouldn't be running yet until you're advanced enough as a GM to really appreciate and make the most of it. So that's it for the tabletops that get added, but that's a lot, right? I mean, it's not as long of a list, but it's a learning curve that's going to take a long time to get those down. And then another LARP. Now the ERPG thing. At this point, I'm considering looking at the whole AR, VR programming scripting, trying to figure out a way if we can do an AR Neverwinter Nights at all or something like that, if that becomes possible. But that isn't fleshed out in detail, but you get the general idea. And then the HRPG stuff, again, whatever we decide is appropriate on that. But you get the idea for that's the adept. You're pretty darn accomplished at this level. But wait, there's more. Tier 6, which is not the highest tier, but is the Master GM, the Master Game Master. So I don't have all this fleshed out. But it's continuing the progression, probably going deeper into the Vampire World of Darkness stuff a little more, as far as instead of an introductory, now you actually be able to run more.
Now include the other races.
Probably the LARP will probably have to be something like that because you got to be more experienced with the LARP to do that and keep it running. You get the idea. So tier 6, it's building.
Makes a good LARP for that level.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. You wouldn't want to run a World of Darkness LARP at tier 1 or 2. And 3, you might want to play, but you probably don't want to run it.
Yeah.
So getting up there and experience first.
Yeah.
So the highest level tier I have is tier 7, which is the Grandmaster GM, and I really don't have that fleshed out. But that's the progression I'm thinking here. So, what do you think?
Grandmaster, Dungeon Master.
Yeah, Grandmaster Game Master, GM.
Yeah.
Grand Dungeon Master?
GM or GM.
GDM?
Well, Grand, I have it as 2 words, Grandmaster, but...
Or Grand Dungeon Master.
Right, it can be either, but yeah. So, what do you think?
Great old one. No, I think it's good. I think it's good.
Okay, does that feel like a better approach?
Yeah,
Concerns?
Well, concerns is time.
Well, that was always the issue.
I mean, right now you're looking at a 7-year program.
No, that's the point. That was part of the point. Is right now it was taking like 1 to 2 years just to get tier 1 done.
Yeah.
Now tier 1 should be able to be done in just a couple of months. Right, 1 to 3 months depending upon the person's experience and background. They should be done with tier 1 and go straight to tier 2. Tier 2 will still probably take around, on average, the year, give or take range, depending upon their level of involvement and everything else. And then tier 3, you're now pushing 2 years into the program to be doing the tier 3. So yeah, I mean, we are talking, this is for people who are dedicated, who are doing other things probably, or working towards professionalism. Mm-hmm. Part of it is, looking through all the stuff about what is mastery in any profession.
10,000 hours?
Or 10 years is the other way people phrase it. So this doesn't go quite that far. But, how many people are going to go all the way down that reverse pyramid? I don't know. But I'm trying to break it into... Because if I push all that up into the lower, into like tier 3, it'll just take forever to get tier 3, right? And so I'm hoping that it keeps the increments of reward going for people and makes it not so overloaded. Because right now it's overloaded. Right now the checklist is really bloody long. And I'm hoping this puts it into more bite-sized chunks. It still time-wise is going to do the inverted pyramid, but the list is going to stay pretty consistent as far as the items, just that each thing takes longer to master.
Right.
But I'm hoping that is a better way, whereas before it was this really long list, and then the list just got longer and longer and longer. I was trying to make it a little more attainable.
All right. So when we have people writing things in the form of these modules, what is the copyright issue?
The same as we do with all our researchers. It's dual ownership. So with all our research content, our blog postings, our essays, and our research, they retain the copyright, and we retain the copyright. We can publish it and use it however we want. We give them full attribution as the writer and such, but we own the rights to use it, and they own the rights to use it. They can go take it somewhere else, whatever, publish it themselves if they want. As long as it doesn't stop us from being able to publish it, do with it what they want. That's exactly what we do with our researchers' content.
I can see a confusing moment where, well, I can buy it from the author for 12, or I can buy it from
or get it for free from RPG Research. Yeah. But the difference might be our version is an earlier draft. That's a rough draft uploaded to our website in a PDF. Their version they can go buy with all the artwork and maps and everything else enhanced. And they have every right to do that. What's that? Right, exactly. Ours is you pass. This is like when you do papers when you work in a school and you write all your papers and such. And the university often can get to keep the rights and blah, 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 and they're much more restrictive. We're not as restrictive, but you do a paper in school. You did it back then. They publish it in the local university journal. They retain the rights to that. But then you go write a newer version of that paper, greatly enhanced with diagrams and updated data and all that, and you've got that published in your own journal or whatever. So you can kind of think of it that way. So the point is that it doesn't get clawed back away from us because we want this to be free and open. But that also doesn't preclude them from being able and doing what they want with it because they wrote it. It's theirs. They should have their name on it. And so that's the approach. So being free and open.
You would get would be Cubicle 7 going, excuse me, you're publishing what?
That would be the only part where we wouldn't be able to make it public. We would have to keep it internal for training and stuff like that. If it has content that is going to be an IP issue, then that's where we have to just keep it internal. And then they will have to go get permission to publish it from them, not from us.
Right.
They don't have to ask permission from us. That's the point. They retain their own rights to it. That's my thinking about that. So what about all this? What do you think?
I think the copyright stuff needs to be in writing before people start writing.
That's fine. We've got time on that anyway. We already have that in writing on our researchers.
Right.
So, anything else that you're concerned about?
No.
Do you feel like this is a better pathway?
I think the fact that you're going to feel like you're being accomplishing something sooner at the beginning is going to make it easier for people to stand
Exactly.
wrong.
Exactly. Yeah, I'm using neuroscience here.
Weird. Where'd you come up with that idea?
As per our earlier discussion of the Today's Talk Show.
Yeah.
The little loot kit rewards, they're little dopamine hits.
Yeah.
Keep them at it.
Don't be too good at it. Congress will take it away.
Yeah, no kidding. Dan?
Like we were talking about this yesterday, and yeah, I'm happy with this.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. And Brooke, any last thoughts, comments, concerns?
No.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. I think that was all we had. Less than 6 weeks away until Katie Hawk wedding.
Mm-hmm.
So we need to. I need to start putting together some section on the site privately of how to run things and what to do while I'm away, because we'll be gone at least 2 or 3 weeks, and really leading up to the wedding. That last week of June, I'm probably going to be very unavailable. So you and Danielle and everybody need to start planning increasingly that I'll be less available in this coming month. And really, running things throughout all of July. And then by August, I'll be back, fully focused. So we've got to figure out how to make sure that things run smoothly without me, without you having to call me, because I won't be readily available. Thoughts, suggestions on how you want to handle that? So John as VP will be in charge when I'm away. We've got Brooke and Danielle in different roles. Brooke, between the vice chair and volunteer coordinator and the admin stuff, really, help John with the admin stuff, obviously. And then Danielle, because she's the second most seniorly active person here, do miss Charles, do miss Brad and some of the others, and Jacob and the others. Also has a lot of knowledge as far as like running the sessions, running the training, doing the interviews, things like that. Do we want to put all interviews on hold while I'm gone, or do you want to just go ahead and run without me on those?
We're going to put some of them on hold.
Yeah, you guys do what you want with it. It's up to you.
Researchers.
Uh-huh.
We will probably put those on hold.
Okay.
Or anything that, like, tech people, put those on hold. But if they're organizations we can understand, like this guy here can talk about art, so he can interview our artist if he need to, or I will just interview an artist. I know the difference between a paintbrush and a pencil.
Okay.
The mechanical pencil.
As far as Fate's Revolt, the show.
Right.
Today I finally got the first video audition.
Are you scared?
No, it's unfortunate. That's the only one I've gotten I've gotten a bunch of applications.
Right.
And then went through the process and did a few interviews. But this is the only one that actually has sent an actual audition. I haven't watched it yet. I just
okay, so you don't know.
I don't know yet. Yeah, I just downloaded it and through Google, and I've got to look at it. But nobody else has sent auditions. So remember, I told you if there's not enough activity on this, we're not going to do it. So it's looking like it's not going to happen at this point. Backstage was a complete waste of money. Backstage.com.
Yeah. Complete
waste of money. I've gotten 0 applications and 0 anything from it. All of this has come through Indeed and our own website. Every single application. Nothing from Twitter and things like that. All of our stuff we've gotten responses from. Nothing from Backstage. So that was a complete waste of money, unfortunately.
Yeah.
And I pinged them saying, is there something I did wrong here? And I've gotten no response from them, so I'm not even sure they're a legit platform at this point. I don't know. Anyway, so it looks like that's not going to be, I was a little concerned about taking on more. I'd love for us to have such a show going, but it looks like it's not going to be happening anytime soon. We got lots of other things we can focus on, like the conference and all of that. So,
conference, prisons.
Yes, yeah, doing the research in the prisons. Brooke, we'll go ahead and let you go. We've probably kept you longer than we needed to for all of that, but I figured in case you had something useful, it would be very good to have you there. I would always appreciate it.
Okay. All right, and then we can talk more a little bit about the plan for while you're gone. Just touch base each week, probably.
Yeah, I just wanted to start that process that we now start planning each week. What are you guys going to do while Hawk's not available to make sure things keep running smoothly, that we keep the rhythm going, and I don't come back and everything's shut down. Or burned down, or...
Oh, don't say that.
Or in jail, or...
Say burned around this place.
I figure at the very least there'll be a couple of phone books on the throne.
Yeah.
Just to prop people up.
That's funny. Yeah, the camera just keeps going... The camera's wilting up there.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thanks a lot, Brooke. You have a good one. I'll see you Friday at the park.
Yep.
Woot, woot.
See y'all Friday.
All right. See you then. All right. Anything else you guys wanted to cover before we bid adieu?
No, we've already talked about the schedule of things coming up.
Good. All right. We'll be back shortly here. I don't see or hear. Nobody locked. Oh, make sure the front door's not locked. In case Shane or anybody is trying to show up.
Did you walk through that front door?
What? Nicholas did, but he sometimes locks it behind him too. I think. Yeah. We are supposed to be next going into RPG theory discussion. So which topics we'll discuss depends on who's here. So, but that's what we're switching to next. We'll be back in just a few minutes. We're going to be basically just switching the stream over here, and then we'll be back shortly. Ta-ta for now.